Hey, Auntie Cherry. Hey, Miss Smith. How are y'all doing? How are y'all doing today on this Thursday? Hold on. Okay. Yeah. I hope y'all are having a blessed evening. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Hey, Miss Walker. Hey, sweetie. How are you today? Um, Grow up. Hello. Hey, Barbara. I hope y'all having a good day. We know Ramika goes have her hearing for that Holly girl on Tuesday. So we're gonna do a live about that Tuesday. Definitely gonna do that Tuesday. Um Hello, Miss Woods. Hello, Miss Thompson. Let me see. Hello. What's this? 9319. Hello. Yes, we're gonna do a whole live about Ramika Tuesday. You know, she's still in my heart, y'all, no matter what. And like I said, every time something new come out, we definitely gonna cover the story, no matter what. We're gonna cover the story. And I know Tuesday is the court date for her. So we definitely gonna cover that on Tuesday. Tomorrow I will not be live. I will take my day off tomorrow and I'll be back on Monday. So, y'all know how they go. Well, anyway, don't nobody really be in my chat no more anyway. Since I don't really cover Ramika no more, people don't really come to my chat. But it's like I said, I can't cover the story if it's nothing to talk about. Every court date, I did promise everybody I will continue to cover the story as things develop. But nothing else has developed, so I have to continue to move on with different stories. But I know and I see how I go, but it's crazy how people only support when they want to support, when they want to hear what they want to hear. But, that's how YouTube is. That's how I go, you know. Hey, AB, baby. How are you? I love you, sis. So that's how YouTube go. But let me tell y'all this. Anybody I cover, to be honest, um, I want to bring awareness to everything, not only just one thing, everything. Okay, sis, I will, baby. Give me 1 second. I gotta get some new mods over there too for my other channel. And I'm gonna work on the rest of that stuff this weekend because I will have 3 days all to um work over there and finish getting stuff up over there and stuff like that. But yeah, so um hello Roy D. No, not so we're here. Yeah, some of y'all still come in. I ain't gonna lie, some people do, some people don't. And it is what it is. I have to move on with stories. I have to still entertain the ones that want to be entertained and want to know about, different stories. I have to continue to keep my platform going. You know what I'm saying? I can't make the whole world happy. That's just life sometimes. I wish I could make the whole world happy, but at some point I can't do it. Oh, okay. I just did it, AB. Um, AB, how are you feeling, sweetie? Let me see. And let me just Miss Walker, you better be quiet, girl. You always here. Always, girl. Honey dip, only time I'm not here is I'm at, girl. I know you be at work with your headphones on because you told me. Listen, let me tell y'all something. If you at work and you can't be in this chat, you think I'm gonna get mad at you? That's your bread and butter, sweetie. That's your bread and butter. Okay. I'm never going to get upset with someone that you think I want you to risk your job to be in a chat. No way. Absolutely not. I'm not heartless like that. You got a job, you got to do what you got to do to support that job. Miss, yeah, I was going to ask you behind the scenes how everything goes, sis. I didn't want to put that in the chat. Yeah. I don't want to, tell your business. Miss D, yeah, I know about that. I be listening though. Yeah, it's okay. It's cool. It's cool. I won't want nobody to lose their job because you want to type in a chat. Nah, no, 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 no. Because you got to pay them bills, girl. Okay. I know what it is. I have like 3 or 4 supporters. I think 2 of my supporters told me that they can't even wear headphones no more at their job. I guess they caught them with the headphones. Is you know how some jobs be. I be blocking my calendar so I don't have no meetings. Oh, girl, what? Oh my god, I pinned the coffee link on top, AB too. Or for anybody that needs, I just pinned it on top. Um, yeah, so we definitely want to, y'all. Let me ask y'all a question. Let me just get y'all opinion, how y'all feel and how y'all think about it. Do y'all want to do like a open conversation Monday about this is something I had in mind and I want to see how y'all feel about it. Do y'all want to do a open conversation Monday about bitter baby mamas and bitter baby dads and relationships? What do y'all think about that? Let me know how y'all think about that. I try to bring different things, y'all. I try to do the best I can. Yes, honey drip. I know. I had boys, so I definitely understand how you feel. I know. And things are more and more expensive than it was back in the day. Hey PA, what's going on, baby? I work from home, but I do a lot of paperwork. Oh, okay. Okay. One of my other supporters, matter of fact, one of my moms, she worked from home too, but she be having meetings and stuff. Yeah. So how do y'all feel about that for Monday? If not, we won't do it. I just want to have like we all have an open conversation about relationships, bitter baby moms, bitter baby dads, and stuff like that. So I just thought about that this morning. So I wanted to see how did y'all feel about having a conversation like that. I've been in court helping my dad for his VA because so live I've been in court for the last 2 weeks. Okay. Okay. Thank you, AB. Yeah, I know. I know. Well, I hope everything works out with your dad, baby. Yes, I got some stuff to say. Oh Lord Jesus, y'all crazy. But okay. If y'all do, um, she's Lord Jesus, she done made me laugh. She said yes, because I got some stuff to say. Okay. All right. We can do that Monday, right? But we're gonna all keep it nice and classy and respectable, because maybe we can help one another. You never know what someone going through with, you know what I'm saying? So we can all maybe, help each other out. Because a lot of things that somebody else knows, somebody else may not know. Somebody else may do, somebody else may not do. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, and then Tuesday we definitely gonna do Ramika Tuesday. I don't know what time the court date is, y'all. I'm not sure. I don't even know who to ask. Really ask me what the court date is. I'm not sure I mean, not this court date, but what time it starts. Hey Brittany. Um good afternoon, Miss D in chat. It sounds like a great topic. Okay. Okay, so we can definitely do that on Monday because I won't be live tomorrow. Um I'm a nurse and I work from home. I enjoy your commentary. Thank you, Miss Thompson. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoy it. Thank you. I try to do the best I can, y'all, to keep people engaged. I do what I can do. That's all I'm gonna say. I do what I can do. Sometimes I try to, you know, I don't know. I just try to do what I can do. I go try to find commentary and bring it as I can find it. And hey, Rebecca, how are you? So I'm not saying I'm the best person in the world, but I try to do what I can do. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I'm going to talk about my mailman. Okay. Okay, AB says she gonna talk about her mailman. Okay. All right. We would love to hear that one. That would sound very interesting. That one would sound very interesting. Yes. Okay.
Court said March 3rd at 9 a.m. is what's on the docket.
So if it's gonna be 9 their time, what will it be for me?
10.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's cool. And Brittany, could you do me a favor if you still in the chat? Could you drop my other channel in the link? I mean, in the comment for me. Um, let's see. Tasha made me lose my mailman. Oh no. Hey, Miss Linda. Tasha. I hope she's feeling better. Oh my God, Tasha made you lose your mailman. Well, honey, I hope Tasha be in this chat money so we can talk about it. That one is funny. That's funny. So yeah. Oh my God. So anybody have not subscribed to my backup channel, please click that link that Brittany just um put in and you can subscribe to my backup channel. But the other backup channel, y'all, we're gonna come with straight good commentary over there. Um well, y'all can go over there and read what that channel going to be about because I did post what that channel going to be about. Again, I don't want that channel shared out. I don't. I just want to get my followers up on my own with the people that's going to be supporting me over there and get more new people to come in. So I don't. I want to move on from this sector and try to build me in another branch. So if I do get shared out, I'd rather get shared out by other things that I'm going to talk about on that channel. I just want to not be shared out and all of that stuff. I don't want all of that. Um, Sometimes the same story gets old when there is no updates. I like how you switch up, Miss D. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, sis. Thank you. Thank you, sis. That made me feel good. Thank you so much. Miss Smith, I love to buy you lunch. Miss Smith, AB talking to you.
Oh, I don't see it coming.
It's at the bottom. See the last comment in the chat.
Oh,
Yeah.
it hasn't popped up on my end yet.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I try to, y'all. I try to do what I can. Whether if I only get 5 people listening, I do what I can do, to keep things going. Because, like you said, sis, sometimes things get old and, when people want new stuff. You know what I'm saying? There go Tasha right there, AB. Tasha done came in the chat. Oh, AB says she would like to treat you to lunch.
Oh, cool. Tell her I said thank you. Thank you, AB. I appreciate that.
Hey, Miss Cameron. How are you? Yeah. So, and I know everybody know. Well, I don't know if everybody know, but I know some people know that about the Nancy lady has been missing since February the 4th. Now, I did see some updates today that they are turning the house back over to the family now. I don't know if the family going to live there, but my opinion, I couldn't live in that house. I just would never ever be able to. I would never feel comfortable there. I would never live there anymore. So the FBI did come out there yesterday. The ones was in the chat saying that they did a whole tour of the house and brung some stuff out the house, this, that, and the third. But as of this morning, they were saying they were going to turn the house back over. The daughter spoke and said she wanted to get back, to work, to her life. Um, I think somebody in the family spoke out and said it may take months or a year before they find Nancy, and that's something I want to say. But anyway, okay. I mean, you can't stop people's feelings. Um, Today, they did have more police out there today. They got the cable people out there today. Now, what made me kind of like a little funny, like I don't know it was the alarm people, right? So I don't know, are they there to take the alarm out the house, or they there to upgrade the alarm and fix the alarm because someone's going to come in there and move in there? I didn't get it. I don't know. It was, I don't know. It was crazy to me. So I don't really actually know. But again, I'm going to stick to my story. I do believe someone knew that family, and also they were saying this morning too in the chat that I was in, because I always been in other chats that's covering the story, that, and this do make sense to me. It do. They trying to figure out. I know a lot of people be saying, why didn't they see this person bring Nancy out? Because they probably already had cut the cameras on top of the roof, and they already had detached the doorbell before they went in the house. So that's the only reason they got seen on the doorbell camera, which is the man, because he came to the camera, right, to cut the camera. So that's why they was able to see him at the front door. Now, once he cut the camera, we don't know how he got in the house. Was the front? Was the back door? We didn't see him bring Nancy out of the house. We couldn't see anything else after that because the camera was already cut off. Miss D, can I send Miss Smith a coffee on your link? She don't have a channel. Yeah, she don't have a channel. Yes, I believe that this was a yes. I'm telling you, I believe that too, sis. I believe that. Yes, Miss D, did you get the coffee I sent? Okay, I'm gonna check 1 minute. Miss Smith, is there any way that you have Cash App? Miss Smith, you hear me? Hey Miss D, how are you doing
Yeah, I
today?
hear you. Yeah, I have Cash App.
You can send it to me and I can send it to her.
Okay.
AB, I'm gonna inbox it to you. So make sure you check. When I get off my live, I'm gonna send it to you. She sent it to me. I'm gonna send it to you.
I'm gonna be
Um.
right back. I'm bringing in my Walmart delivery.
All right. Cool. So I do believe it was someone that knew this family. I just do not believe it was a random person just went into the house. Now I was thinking this, y'all, and then I said, "Nah, I don't think like that." Right? All right. So they can't produce nothing Nancy had on, what type of pajamas she had on, because she was in the bed. She got taken out of her bed. So the family probably don't know what type of pajamas she had on because they don't stay there. She stayed by herself, right? So we don't know what type of shoes she had on, what kind of pajamas she had on, because the cameras was disconnected, right? So we don't know that. We don't know if they walked Nancy to her car, or we don't know if they put Nancy on their back. We don't know if they put Nancy on their shoulder. We don't know how they took Nancy out that house. We don't know that. And that, I don't know, it's just kind of weird to me, y'all. AB, did you just hear me? She gonna send me her Cash App, and I'm gonna send it to you. It's just, I don't know, y'all. Just blow me. I'm just trying to get the understanding of. Um, Auntie Barbara, that was you, right? You and AB. Let me know if that was you. Okay. I want to buy her lunch. Does she? Yes, she have Cash App. She gonna send it to me, and I'm gonna send it to you. Um. Hey, Auntie. So it's just weird to me, y'all. It's just now, and listen, I heard this too. Now, I don't know how many of y'all been covering this case. Someone said the door is the daughter, right? That's doing all the speaking out. Do she live in New York? Do anybody knows? Because I heard somebody this morning said that she was going to go back to New York with the family because she had to continue her life. Yes.
I think that's where they shoot the television show, right?
Yes, they do. So I'm trying to figure out, do she live in New York? Because I'm assuming she do. I think I had to be more than one person. Yes. Yes. I mean, because she says, because I'm trying to figure out, if she live in New York, so the mom was living here by herself while she was living in New York? The siblings were living in New York too? Do anybody in the chat knows?
I think her sister lives where the mom is because they were doing dinner or whatever. The one with the husband that they thought he was a part of the scenario.
Okay. I think it was a group of people. AB, I ain't gonna lie. I'm starting to figure all that out because this is just crazy. This is crazy. Let me know when you sent it, Miss Smith. This is just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. It's crazy. But we're gonna get into this video, y'all. I want to play this for y'all and let y'all hear it. Hey, Nicole. How are you?
For the 84-year-old stretches into yet another day. The sheriff admits the suspect or suspects, they've made it hard on the hundreds of investigators working this case. But I will tell you what they may have up their sleeve.
That's what a lot of people say.
The bad guys might not be.
But they ruled the family out.
On the case presented by Law and Crime, I'm Chris Stewart.
They definitely need a better security system.
Genetic genealogy. Yes. That's a phrase you were hearing a lot in the case of Nancy Guthrie today. And when I heard that term, I thought about this case.
I don't know how to answer and go into. I don't want to incriminate myself with questions. You guys are professionals. I'm not. I don't know. I really do think I need an attorney. I need to use the phone and I need to call someone and I need legal representation before I respond to anything else.
Okay, that's fine. We're not going to ask you any more questions.
That winning feeling you love? Bring it everywhere you go with the Hollywood Casino app. Your next big thrill is just a tap away. New players get 3.
There's no tears coming out of your face.
I'm very dry right now.
You're dry?
I'm very dry. I'm parched. I'm dehydrated. You can probably see my eyes are bloodshot red because I'm just tired and drained. I don't know what's going on. You want me to drink water so I can tear? Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
I don't want you to tear. I just don't want you to.
What are you trying to say?
I'm just trying to say that this seems a little put on.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my God.
Now, that is the interrogation from a case out of Maryland, unrelated to Nancy Guthrie, but it was a murder case that was solved using technology that investigators may now be turning to in the search for Nancy Guthrie. And we will break down that case, how it all went down in just a moment. As far as Nancy Guthrie and what we know today, that long-awaited DNA test result came back. And it does not seem to be the smoking gun that so many people had hoped for. You had gloves that were found 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home on the side of the road. Those did not match anyone in CODIS, the FBI's national database. DNA found inside of Nancy Guthrie's home. We don't know on what or what the DNA is, but that sample did not hit on CODIS either. We know that DNA from the house, it doesn't belong to Nancy. It also doesn't belong to members of her family. The CODIS database, it's important to note, only has the profiles of people who have been convicted of crimes or arrested. So we are talking about a pretty small part of the population. The sheriff now says investigators will turn to this new type of technology called genetic genealogy, and it could be huge in this case. Before we dive into that, let's talk about something very interesting that the sheriff of Pima County said in his most recent round of one-on-one interviews with media outlets. Sheriff Chris Nanos says that he believes that the person who you see on Guthrie's front steps in the surveillance video had a target in mind. He also said that this individual, they have made it tough for his investigators, but he says that they are not going to give up. Now, the sheriff went on to say that they're now looking into whether clothing items, including that mask you see the suspect wearing, was purchased at Walmart. Now, the jacket, that appears to be a Walmart item, though it is not exclusively sold there.
How are you?
I think the mask could be really huge in this case, because you just think of the climate in Tucson. How many people are buying masks like the one we see in the surveillance video? Now, we know that law enforcement have been working with Walmart to try to figure out who might have purchased items that the suspect is wearing. And that backpack is also a big clue, because it is only sold at Walmart, no other store. The clothes, they may also be Walmart buys. Now, the sheriff told the media that the time frame on the backpack purchase, and he said this in kind of a conversational way, it could be 20 days ago, it could be 60 days ago as they look back through Walmart's records. Now, the sheriff added in an interview with NBC News that the suspect may also be wearing a ring in the video on the front steps of the house. And then you have that gun holster on
y'all
his
remember
waist.
yesterday I talked about that ring.
It appears to be a cheap one that you can get at Walmart as well as other
AB,
stores.
if you're in the chat,
Speaking of other stores, the FBI has been going to gun stores in the Tucson area, reportedly with a list of dozens of people and pictures asking if they had been to the stores in the last year. This is according to Fox News, which interviewed a gun store owner who said that agents asked if any of those people
Smith,
on the list look like the person you see in the surveillance video. And again, the time frame is the last year. That person told Fox News, the owner of the gun store, that many of the people had facial hair similar to what we can see in that surveillance video. Now, it is unclear who's on the list, why they're on the list, and also what's behind that last year time frame. That seems like a pretty wide net as investigators continue to try to solve this case. So I now want to talk about genetic genealogy testing. That is a major part of the conversation today in the Nancy Guthrie case. You have this DNA from Nancy Guthrie's home. We don't know whose DNA it is. We don't know if it is DNA connected to the person that you see on her front porch, but we do know it didn't have a match in CODIS, that FBI database that only contains the DNA profiles of people who have been convicted of crimes or arrested. So it is a very small part of the population. Now, the sheriff says that law enforcement will turn to other techniques, including genetic genealogy testing, which is relatively new technology. And it's not as straightforward or quick as it may sound, but there are a lot of cases where it has been a major success. In fact, we talked about a case on this show not too long ago that you may remember that used this technique to crack a cold case that went unsolved for 24 years.
I don't know how to answer and go into. I don't want to try incriminate myself with questions. You guys are professionals. I'm not. I don't know. I really do think I need an attorney. I need to use the phone and I need to call someone and I need legal representation before I respond to anything else.
Okay, that's fine. We're not going to ask you any more questions.
Hit, stand, or double down. Every move feels bigger with
what type of
Fanatic
crowd was that,
Every
but
hand
okay.
is a chance to stack your winnings and your
There's no tears coming out of your face.
I'm very dry right now.
You're dry?
I'm very dry. I'm parched. I'm dehydrated. You can
There's
probably
water.
see my eyes.
You're very dry right now.
Because I'm just tired and drained. I don't know what's going on. You want me to drink water so I can tear? Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
I don't want you to tear. I just don't
What
want
are you
you
trying to say?
I'm just trying to say that this seems a little put on.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my God.
So this is interrogation video from last year involving a man named Eugene Gligor. He pleaded guilty in 2025 to the murder of Leslie Preer in 2001. Leslie Preer was his girlfriend's mom, and she was found beaten to death inside her home outside Washington, D.C. in Chevy Chase, Maryland. This case went cold for nearly a quarter century until genealogy DNA testing came around, and this is how it played out. There was male DNA found under Leslie Preer's fingernails. It showed that she fought for her life. Investigators, though, they weren't able to identify whose DNA it was for years until these advancements came around, where law enforcement can take a DNA sample, that profile, and then compare it to publicly available genetic databases. Think like 23andMe or Ancestry.com, those places where you can submit a DNA sample and it tells you your ancestry and you can find loved ones. But when it comes to solving cases, it has become a very valuable tool. And it may be in the case of Nancy Guthrie. Now, in the Maryland case, law enforcement compared their sample and they found, as they built out a family tree, the highest match being to a man named Gligor, but he lived in Romania. He was a distant cousin of the person who had become a suspect in this case. Now, as law enforcement in Maryland went through this case file, they saw the name Gligor, and it was someone who a neighbor had mentioned that investigators should look into all the way back in 2001, but for some reason, law enforcement didn't do that. Now they felt like they had a really good lead.
Y'all, you see where he's trying to go, right? Basically, he's trying to say right now it could be anybody in the family.
With this genealogy DNA test that they did. So they identify Eugene Gligor, and then they put some surveillance on him. They followed him to an airport, and without him knowing, grabbed a water bottle that he threw away, and they took the DNA from that water bottle and tested it. That DNA was a match to the sample taken off of Leslie Preer 24 years prior. Eugene Gligor was then taken into custody. And this is the part of that interrogation video where the detectives lay out to Eugene how the process works and why they say he was linked to this murder.
So from the crime scene, we have DNA from the person who was there when Leslie died. So there's Leslie's blood all over the place, obviously. But then there's also another DNA profile that was picked up from the crime scene. And we had put that into CODIS, our database from the National CODIS DNA Index System, and it has never hit. So whoever was there, whoever's DNA was also on the scene, has never been arrested. And that's why we were going through doing all these elimination DNA samples to find out, okay, well, this person couldn't have done it because we matched the DNA to it. So we realized that they never talked to you, never did anything, and we wanted to find out more about you and if there was any kind of situation where you could have been at the house at that time.
I'm a little confused. To find out more and talk to me, why not just call me and ask me to come in and talk to me versus have marshals come and arrest me and bring me in? I'm just confused as to why that's the case.
Eugene Gligor pleaded guilty to the 2001 murder of Leslie Preer. He is currently serving 22 years in prison. And this case is one of the more compelling interrogation videos you will see.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my God, you're so full of it. You're after. This is the police. This is, yes, like it makes sense. It's in your eyes, it's guilty until proven innocent. I get it.
Well, honey, your DNA was in the crime scene. That's why,
Now, like in that case, in the Nancy Guthrie investigation, detectives will most likely take DNA evidence that they found at her home, and then you compare it to family trees and databases and hope that it can build something out that will lead you to identifying who the person is who left DNA inside of Nancy Guthrie's home. In the 2001 case out of Maryland, it did take investigators roughly a year and a half to complete this investigation.
Wellness knows you love your pet, but not their dumpster breath. Wellness Whimsies
That
are the
is true, 'cause that's
long-lasting
what they
daily
said
dental
about the
treats
Nancy
that
case.
help
She
to
gets
reduce
fixed for
plaque
a
and
year.
tartar. Because great oral health
That's
makes
what they
them
were
a lot
saying.
easier to love. Wellness. Feed well, be well.
You're so adorable
No, I
in
can't
that cute little
stand this
can.
question.
And that pop-up that you did with that influencer last week, totally.
So it is not always an easy process. Now, another case where genetic genealogy had success was in the murder case involving Brian Koberger, of course, the man who killed 4 University of Idaho students inside of their home. Koberger left that knife sheath in a bed, and there was DNA on it, and investigators were able to link that sheath to Brian Koberger through a family connection. The sheriff says that high-tech companies are helping them piece together this case. He says even Meta and Apple have reached out to help. He also says that they're working with the manufacturer of Nancy's pacemaker to see if they can help track where it went. We know that it disconnected from her iPhone in the early hours of the morning on February 1st, and that is the last time on the time frame that she has some sort of contact, according to law enforcement. Law enforcement is also using what is conversationally known as a signal sniffer. It's technology that can be mounted to a drone or a helicopter, and it can try to pick up signals on the ground. Maybe it's a cell phone, maybe it's a pacemaker. So the tech is mounted on a drone or a helicopter that have to fly very low and very slow over a targeted area. We have been told that it's not something you can use to scan an entire city, and this is relatively new technology. Law enforcement is continuing to also show up at Nancy Guthrie's home. It is unclear what they're looking for at this point. The sheriff says that we also should expect to see more operations like the one that we saw last weekend when a SWAT team raided a home and had a dramatic traffic stop within miles of Nancy Guthrie's home. They detained at least one person. That person has been released. No arrests have been made at this point. And it's also unclear what evidence they may have taken in a federally approved search warrant from that house, though the sheriff says they continue to analyze what was taken from the home. The sheriff also says that investigators continue to track down thousands of leads, and he would not characterize the case of Nancy Guthrie as cold. He wants the public to continue to submit those tips of anything they think could help in this case. The FBI is offering that $100,000 reward for information into finding Nancy Guthrie or the person or people who took her. Joining us now to talk more about this case is retired FBI Special Agent and former prosecutor Lance Leising. Thank you, sir, for taking the time to be with us. Genetic genealogy is one of the big headlines of the day, that's what law enforcement may be turning to after the gloves and also the sample that they have, whatever it is, from inside of Nancy Guthrie's home, did not match in CODIS. How confident are you that genetic genealogy can be something that potentially could break this case?
So I'm very confident in forensic genetic genealogy. I used it multiple times in cases. So I used to run the Violent Crimes Task Force here in Arizona. We solved multiple, normally serial homicide, serial rapist cases with forensic genetic genealogy. So what that is, all right, you have an unknown DNA at a crime scene. It's usually something very connected to the crime scene. So these gloves that they're finding miles away from the house, you can still use forensic genetic genealogy to try to identify whose DNA that is, but it's not tied directly to the house. Usually it's something directly at the scene when the suspect leaves DNA at the scene. That's why in sexual assault cases, you see it used pretty often. So you take that unknown DNA, you run it through CODIS, hoping you get a hit. CODIS is about only 4 to 6% of the population.
But y'all, who do y'all think that the blood came from? Nancy or one of the people that took her? What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments.
Population is in CODIS, so that's not very likely, although sometimes you do get a hit.
Well, let's stop. They did say it didn't come from Nancy. They did clear that. So it had to come from one of the people that took her out of the house. And I'm trying to understand why it's not coming back to nobody. Is it not coming back because the person or the persons was never arrested before? What do you think, Ms. Smith?
Yeah, I think they could have an arrest record, but they probably haven't went to jail where they swab you and get all of your DNA, because every state doesn't do that. They don't do it unless you go to prison. Just because you're in jail, they're not swabbing you. And I think Arizona is like that. But what that did tell me is that that old woman put up a fight, though.
Oh, we're not talking about Carlos today, honey. We're on another different subject. I ain't discussing them today. All right, let's finish in.
That's the easiest way. But when you don't, then you take that DNA and you submit it to private sector companies that do DNA searching for family histories. And thousands of people submit their DNA voluntarily into that system in order to be connected with other family members they don't know, or built a family tree for them. So you submit the unknown subject's DNA in that system and you hope to get a hit. And you don't usually get a hit on the actual subject. But what you do is you get a hit on a family member. It could be a mother or father, could be a second cousin, third cousin, even fourth cousin. It could be well removed. But what that does is it gives you a suspect list. You create a family tree then from the known relative, and somewhere in that family tree, you've got the DNA owner that is now tied to the scene. It's like pulling a suspect out of thin air. When it works, it's amazing. It does work with the right type of DNA connected to the right place of the scene. So I'm confident if they have that, it can work.
Grainger knows that if you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, you need to understand
every day
what's
is
wrong.
critical for her.
And yeah, it's fascinating to see some of those cases. I know people have talked about Brian Koberger and how it was used in identifying him out of Idaho. I mean, it's just, fascinating technology. As far as the time it could take, if they were to start doing this now, whatever the sample is, the piece of evidence where they have DNA that is not Nancy Guthrie's from her home, and they say, okay, we're going to use genetic genealogy now. Like, what's the first step and how long, especially in a case like this that's high profile, that it could take to get some of the results back?
Yeah, it's submitting them to multiple different private companies that do that just as a customer, really, is how they're submitting it. Nothing special, no warrant needed, so there's no delay there because it's all volunteer DNA into these systems. Then it depends on how close you are to a match to the suspect. It really depends on how quickly you can then build that family tree and solve it. If it's a fourth cousin, you've got a lot of work to do there. And that suspect, that list, the family tree could be dozens and dozens of people. But then you do basic investigative steps to narrow that down. Who's living in the right areas, whose physical description matches. Likely you can exclude a lot of the females from there because at least the individual seen in the surveillance photograph was unlikely to be female. So you can whittle that down pretty quickly. Time frame, I would normally say a couple of weeks. It would take one of our cases maybe to find a solution. Here you've got a lot more investigators, a lot more resources going at this case than you would a typical case. So faster than that, a week potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's and again, like, incredible technology when you think of what it could do, and we'll see how it plays out. They haven't specifically said, at least as far as I know, of like what that DNA, what did they find in the house that they consider to be the DNA where they were able to say this isn't Nancy Guthrie and it's not a member of her family's DNA. And not to speculate, but like, what are some of the possibilities of what that may be based on what we know?
Anybody in that house in any reasonable period of time could be leaving DNA. It could be a worker, could be a maintenance person, could be a landscaper that went inside and used the bathroom or just touched a door handle. There is so much we don't know about inside the walls of that crime scene. We're seeing a lot overtly outside the walls, and we see the surveillance video images that took place outside the house. We don't know what investigators have from the inside. And I imagine they have some evidence that is leading them at least to a theory on motive and a direction that they're heading, but we don't know. And we don't know specifically where the DNA was found, what kind of DNA it was. Was it just touch DNA of multiple people? Was it very specific DNA left behind that they're pretty certain it was the suspects? We just don't know. So it could lead them down a lot of dead ends. Like if you're following just a touch DNA off of doorknobs, you might have some DNA there that's been there for a long period of time and it was a worker or a guest that had been in the home weeks prior. So those would be dead ends. You're looking for something more connected to that night. So let's say they do have some surveillance images from that night. You do see a suspect touch certain things or go in certain areas. DNA from those touches would directly implicate the suspect.
And as far as the gloves, Do you read into anything that these gloves, that they felt they were very specific? I know the line from the FBI in Phoenix was that they appear to match. And I wasn't sure if that meant because they were this latex alternative, which so many people have just for like cleaning their house, if that's what they meant by it, or if there's anything more to it. But the fact it reached the bar that we're going to submit this to CODIS and we're going to talk about it publicly, even though it didn't have a hit in CODIS, is there something about the gloves where those may not be completely in the past tense when looking at this case going forward?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if the public comment from the FBI about that they were a match or even
don't put that in the chat because we don't know if that's really true or not, because there's so much speculations going around here on YouTube. So you don't know if she got rid of that baby or not. So I don't want to put that in my chat because I don't know if that's true and I don't want to talk on that. Barbara said it's sad, but Miss Nancy is clearly her family knows it. Barbara, you're absolutely right. Because you know what? I wish I can find that video, Barbara, because the daughter said it yesterday. You know, if she can just find her mom and put her mom to rest. You know what I'm saying? I think what hurt her the most, Barbara, is that they don't know what the mom is at all. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely right about that. I definitely agree with you on that, because I think that's what's hurting her the most, you know. But yeah, I agree with your comment.
Definitely not submitting it to CODIS was because they are so assured that it's from the suspect. I think submitting it to CODIS is a normal process. They would do that for anything likely that they obtain. So I think that's just routine investigation there. Why the FBI came out and said it's a match, that's pretty definitive, saying match rather than resembled or something like that. Mm-hmm. I'd like to know what else they know there, because we don't know. The gloves on the surveillance camera, it was sure they were like the nitrile style gloves, those black gloves that tons of different occupations use. But there was some thickness to those gloves. If you remember, it looked like there could have been layers underneath there, maybe another glove underneath, or it was a type of nitrile glove that has an insulated layer or a chemical layer underneath it. If that's what they found, and it is that thickness, that's a little more rare. I mean, that's actually much more rare than your typical nitrile gloves. So I'm hoping.
And you know what, y'all? I was thinking, this just me thinking, you know, I was thinking, did he hit his hand so hard to try to break that camber? And being that he got that pinky ring on, he could have cut himself and the blood could have dripped out of the glove. What do you think, Miss Smith? I'm just speaking hypothetically because I really don't know. I mean, because he was the only one that we seen on the camber of the front porch.
I think with both of them bleeding, he could have cut his hand on the glass, or however he got in. But I think that old woman gave him some problems getting out of there. I don't think she went quietly, and that's how they both ended up with blood. Because if she would have went quietly, her blood wouldn't have been out either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think she put up a fight, and she probably scratched him and stuff like that, or hit him with a vase on the way out, or stabbed him up. I don't know, anything. Anything could have happened. But I think that woman was fighting.
Yeah.
And it's probably a trail of blood
hoping
inside.
It's something like that.
And that's where they're getting their blood from.
Yeah, because there was some out there on the porch too.
Yeah, and then they say the one on the porch was hers.
Well, no, they said it came back to nobody. Right now, they don't know who it is. That's why I was saying what I said a while ago. Do you think when he was trying, because you know that's a brick wall right there, he was hitting to try to get that camera down, and with that pinky ring on. So I was wondering, did the pinky ring could have sliced his little pinky up and got a little gash in it, and he bled through out the glove? You know what I'm saying? I was just thinking that because you know. Just me thinking hypothetically, you know. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was some kind of altercation in there, or I think it was an altercation inside. But I also think he could have already been bleeding. It's a possibility he could have been bleeding already from trying to get in.
Yes,
so I agree. Yeah.
She said yes. I heard her daughter say that. Yes, Barbara. She just want to know. She just want to, you know, because she said her mom can be already gone. You know, she's up in heaven with her. I think she said her husband and her sister and stuff like that, the daughter was saying, so she just basically want to know where's her mom, and I understand she have a right to want to know where's her mom, to give her mom a proper burial, and this is just so sad. And I just hope this case don't go cold. I don't think it will go cold, but I definitely do believe it may take some time. Who knows? We really don't know.
No, that's a fact. It's going to take time. If they release that house back to the family, they've squeezed every ounce of forensics out of that house that they possibly could. So,
yeah,
or
that they think the suitcase out.
Yeah. So that's the only way they're gonna turn the house back over to the family. So,
but she probably was in her bed. Well, when she was in the bed, I ain't gonna say probably. She was in the bed, wrapped up under her blankets. I know they had to touch the blankets to get her out of the bed, move the blankets back. Whether they got anything on the blankets, they probably took that out of the house. You know what I'm saying? They probably had to touch the sheets, the pillows, all of that stuff, to get her up out of the bed, get her out of the house. Did she leave with shoes on? Do we know that? No, we don't know that, because we don't see no cameras to show anything like that. So
that leads investigators to think, hey, this is the glove that came from the scene, but we just don't know.
Yeah, because as someone who's received a lot of FBI statements and press releases, they're always, as you know, very specific with the wording that they use. It's not like they have an intern that just punches one out
Right.
to respond to media requests. The sheriff did say, and he's been doing these one-on-one interviews with different media outlets, but he did say that he believes, and he called it a hunch, that this was targeted. And I know that there was a report out earlier in the week with a local television station in Phoenix saying that the working theory is that this was a burglary and then it became a kidnapping. That seemed to have been pushed back by law enforcement a little bit. And knowing that there's a lot that we don't know, where are you at just looking at this case?
Well, to be honest, I always felt it was not no burglary. For one, they didn't take nothing. When a burglar will come in your house, trust me, they're leaving out with a lot of shit. Whatever they can get, they're going to get. Okay? Thanks. So I never believed it was a burglary. I always believed that it was a kidnapping. I always believed it, and I'm going to still say it, that I believe that it was someone that been in that house before. They knew the ins and out. They knew Nancy lived alone. All of that. Now, my thing is what's that? Was the son-in-law said he dropped her off that night after the dinner?
Yes.
Now, my thing is a question. Did he make sure she got in the house safe? The doors was locked, or she just went in on her own and locked the doors behind her, got herself prepared for the night? We don't know any of that because we can't see that on the camera when she got out of the car. We don't know that. Was anybody else watching? We don't know any of that because we can't see any of that. So that's another thing too.
Right, because she could have, in all actuality, they could have been laying in wait for her when she got in. But, somebody on the inside sitting there. We don't know. It's too much to say, really. Because I don't have somebody sitting there. But that's probably not true because he still had to break something to get in, and he was fumbling around with that Ring doorbell camera.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, Latte.
It's just a mystery to me. It really is. It's a mystery to me. Hey, Latte.
Yeah, it's a mystery to me too because you got the dude.
Whether this was a burglary,
the way the house is shaped, I think the son-in-law would have been able to see her enter that entry doorway if he waited. So they do need.
Are pulling up. She's getting out. Like none of that is not being shown whatsoever. And right. that's the crazy part. And maybe they couldn't get that footage. They only can get the footage of him in the front yard. But they did say, because they did show two guys in the backyard by the gate of the door with a backpack. Now, he didn't have on no mask, but I couldn't see his face.
The neighbor had sent the video of a guy that looked to be the same build as this guy, Ring doorbell camera. But
whether this was targeted and what we can think might have happened here.
Yeah, well, I guess you have to go back to the definition of targeted. What does that mean? I do think this was targeted. Now, it could be a burglary that they targeted this individual because maybe a worker had been in there prior and they told a friend, hey, I'm doing work on a house. There's an 85-year-old lady in there. She has a lot of money. She's not there very often, something like that. And then he goes directly to that house. That's a target. That's targeted to Nancy and her house because of information that they gleaned. I do think this was likely targeted in some way. Now, whether it's targeted because Nancy is Savannah's mother or if it's targeted because she's just an easy victim that apparently has money, we'll see. I do think the high probability is that this individual had a motive as he was going into that house to commit a crime. Now, that could have been burglary, could have been assault, it could have been multiple different reasons, and Nancy could have been targeted for any of those. It's likely something went wrong inside that house. Nancy got hurt. That's evidenced by the blood that's coming out of
That's
the,
what you
out
just
of the
said,
door.
Miss Smith.
And then that individual panics. And then they try to hide what they've done. They try to hide evidence. And that would include Nancy potentially if she was mortally wounded during that. So that is kind of
I've seen that, Barbara.
that's the theory. Is it targeted? Yeah, it's targeted, but maybe not for kidnapping purposes. I highly doubt this is a kidnapping still, and I have from the start, and it's mainly because this does not follow a typical pattern for a kidnapping. If it's financially motivated, the first financial request for money came days later. No kidnapper is holding on to a fragile victim like this for multiple days to care for her in order to get money in the end. Usually it's pressure. It's right now. It's demand for money. They don't want to hold on to that victim at all. So it just seems unlikely that it's for a financial motive.
And I just think too, like, an 84-year-old woman with health issues in need of medication. I just keep going back to that. And it's like, not that criminals are always
injured.
Injured as well. Like, yeah, like not the most well thought out group of people, criminals, but at the same time, like if you were to kidnap someone, it just seems like the last person, even if she had all the money in the world, to do it.
Yes.
No,
and
go
your
ahead.
first communication is with the family, because it's just like scammers too. They prey on the urgency of it and the chaos of that initial call. Like scammers would do that based on your bank accounts being depleted as we speak. You can't get off the phone with me. You have to do this kind of thing. Same thing with kidnappers. They don't involve the police. I need you to communicate. I need you to send this money right now. We have her right here. Here's, you can even put her on line or say something that only she knows. And it's that chaos, that urgency, that demand for money that usually gets the money, and then they're gone. They don't want anything to do with caring for a victim, let alone a 20-year-old healthy victim compared to an 85-year-old fragile victim. So it doesn't follow any of those motives. And then ideology is another motive. It could be an ideological kidnapping. But that doesn't make sense here either. There's been no ideological statement, no cause that they're after. Letters to media agencies would make sense in the case if there was a statement displaying a cause. We haven't seen that either. So that falls to other motives, and different crime is one, mental health or delusion is another, and a domestic dispute, a family dispute, which doesn't seem to be the case here. That's another.
It makes sense.
You're waiting to go skating, spinning reels before your turn. Thousands.
He makes a lot of sense.
And the sheriff's also talked about, I think he was pushing back on the idea that Nancy would be in Mexico, or, that the suspect has gone to Mexico. And, I've crossed through Nogales before, and you drive through, it's very easy to drive through. Like, they're not asking questions. They're not checking papers. Like, it's welcome, welcome over, and then more questions on the way back. Mm-hmm. You worked in Arizona. I mean, how often are suspects getting away successfully, crossing over into Nogales and then driving through Mexico, where, if this was a case where this person sees the video released and goes, oh boy, they might be onto me, and then he crosses the border. Like, how likely is that?
I think it's unlikely, just because there are no indicators of cross-border kidnapping here. The way that subject approached in the surveillance videos doesn't appear to be related to any kind of organized crime within Mexico. It's not professional in that way. I mean, there are multiple theories you can have around that surveillance video. I've heard some saying that that individual wasn't the first person at the house. They were just called to help clean up afterwards. Like there's all kind of theories out there, but nothing is indicating, yes, this is a cross-border type of kidnapping. And again, for what motive? I mean, for what end? Not financial gain, that doesn't appear. It's not for an ideological motive that it appears. So I know the sheriff mentioned something about revenge, and revenge is a motive. I kind of think it falls in that delusional kind of motive category, because it doesn't have to be a rational grievance that the suspect has, just a perceived grievance, something that they believe but maybe nobody else believes. And maybe this subject did suffer from some mental illness and had some delusion that Nancy was responsible, or whoever lived in this house was responsible for something bad that happened to him. That's always possible with mental health and delusion. You can't put rationality to it, right? So that's always a possibility too. I think investigators have to keep all that open.
And with this case, and I've heard from so many people who say, like, when you watch the surveillance video, it doesn't look like this person is the most sophisticated criminal in the world. But also, like, it's been 17, 18 days. 400 FBI agents are working this. The president's involved and has, pledged his full support. Apple and Meta are now offering their help. We have the signal sniffer that's flying around, and I know that's new technology. It just seems like every single ounce of law enforcement strength is being put into this case, and yet this person who seems like such an amateur on camera is still at large, and we don't know where Nancy is. Like,
yeah, that is weird.
Not asking like the rhetorical question of like, how have we not arrested this guy? But like, when you look at the early parts of the investigation and maybe some of the steps along the way, like, where is it in cases like this that someone can get away and make it so difficult for law enforcement?
Oh yeah, well, it's an old adage, even a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes. I mean, I have chased criminals that I thought were extremely smart, and once I finally catch them, I realized that they were just lucky for a period of time. This individual, you see in the surveillance camera, it's not like they did it on a whim. Like, they definitely put some thought into it. They thought about their appearance and disguising that. They thought about not leaving DNA at the scene or any forensic evidence. So they've thought through a few things. I didn't think the decision-making process made a lot of sense at the doorstep, whether they grabbed the bush and tried to use that to conceal their identity, then taking that doorbell camera, which isn't smart either, and a couple other, and being surprised by the doorbell camera. I think that was fairly clear from the surveillance video. So those decisions show a lack of planning in a certain area and maybe irrational decisions, but they did take some steps to conceal who they are, and that's helping to confound the issue. There are so many options and not options, but opportunities for a suspect to become lucky, to not leave DNA, and investigators just missing that. You did mention missteps in the beginning, and I do think there were a few. Hindsight being 2020, it's easy to second guess that, but I think even the sheriff has come out and say that wouldn't have turned over that scene so fast, and I would agree with that. There was no pressure to turn over that scene. That should have been held. Would that have provided a break in the case? Probably not, but we don't know. Without knowing the facts, we just don't know.
And then just lastly, I don't know if you have, friends or colleagues in Arizona who have been working this case, but like, what's the morale at this point? Like, from FBI agents, just as this case continues on and there's so much public attention, almost public frustration that nothing, I'm sure they're frustrated as well, but like, just what are you hearing from people who in Arizona who have been working this case?
I think they were really hopeful when the surveillance images came out that was going to be a watershed moment, and that would quickly lead to.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie.
Arrest. I think we saw
that image of that guy, I was like, oh, great.
Since that time, and I think they were all very hopeful for those. But in a case where you have an outstanding victim who's in danger, you're leaning forward in an investigation. You're probably detaining people, interviewing people, doing search warrants earlier than you would in an investigation that doesn't involve somebody imminently in danger. So you run the risk of hitting a dry hole once in a while, or detaining an individual that turns out to be non-involved at all. So I think their hopes were high at that point. Now you're getting to the point where it's definitely a slog. It is a slow-moving process. You've got thousands upon thousands of tips. As a field agent, you're getting tip after tip, and after covering 100, 200 tips that were irrelevant or didn't lead anywhere, then you kind of, human nature sets in. You're like, oh, another one. It's hard to keep that momentum up. It's up to the leaders in the FBI and the sheriff's office to keep the momentum up of those investigators. I hope they're collaborating real well. Once you get a little bit of dissension, plus the slog of an investigation like this, it can unravel quickly. I don't see any signs of that here. I mean, I think they're working well together, but I think it's a slog at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. And you just think being out there every single day, just hoping that you come up with, that moment that could crack the case. And there's so many people working on it. And, certainly they're continuing to work hard on it, which is good. And everybody's still hoping for a happy ending. Lance Lysing, retired FBI special agent, former prosecutor. Thank you for being with us on Law and Crime. This was great.
Thank you for having me.
If you have.
So that was that one. I don't know. I just feel like it's somebody that been in that house before, sis. I feel it. I just feel like somebody has been in that home before. Whether they know the family, whether they did gardener work, repairs inside of the house, went out to dinner with this family. I just feel like something is not right. That's just my belief, y'all.
Well, that's totally possible. I mean, this one right here, when they find the person, it's going to be crazy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Most definitely it will. Yeah. Yeah. It definitely is. I'm going to play another one. I have another one here. I'm going to see. Oh, for sure.
Betting on the right guy with Fanatic Sportsbook.
And I want to stay on it until they find it.
Haven't you heard? The internet says I'm cursed. Any best
In Florida that the Pima County Sheriff's Department already uses. Now, we've had on former members of the Pima County Sheriff's Department who tell us that they have used this lab in Florida before on their cases, and it is very good, but they admit that there are questions about whether or not that lab should have been used. Now, the fact that the DNA may not be strong enough to be used in this case, to be put into CODIS or to be used for investigative genetic genealogy, that may not be an indictment on this lab, just the reality of what was actually taken from Nancy Guthrie's home. Now, Sheriff Chris Nanos with the Pima County Sheriff's Department told CBS that the lab has not reached a conclusion on whether the DNA is usable. The Pima County Sheriff also told NBC that the DNA that was found is considered mixed DNA, meaning that sample had more than one person's DNA. Now, Nanos also...
Man, did you hear that, Miss Smith? How did it have one more? I ain't going to say how, because it could have. So that means that if it's more than one person DNA, do that mean that it was another person with him on that porch coming out that house with Nancy? Or was it the DNA they found mixed blood inside of that house when they went in to get Nancy?
By mixed blood, it could be that the attacker and Nancy's blood both dripped in the same spot. Or it could be that two attackers, if that lady is 84, 85 and she got two people, boy, she was scrapping in there. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah, because he just said he thinks that she did put up a fight in that house. Mm-hmm. And I can guarantee she probably did too. But I was just thinking, being that they said the blood didn't come back as hers, then did the two attackers bleed?
Yeah, they wouldn't have to bleed, but they dropped it in the exact same spot. Like one guy passing by, his drop went down, and then the next guy passing by, his drop went down.
So another thing, like, where was they bleeding from? Like, why was they bleeding? Did they open up a wound by breaking into the house and they cut themselves? Most likely, that's the only thing that I could think of.
Yeah, it could be that they broke themselves, cut themselves on the glass or something like that. But once they got in there, 9 times out of 10, they was fighting with Nancy. And Nancy, I mean, that's her name, right? Nancy. And Nancy clocked them with something. And she got them good.
Okay, that's a possibility. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Could have been that also. Yeah.
also told NBC in just the last couple of days that the lab did have some, quote, challenges when it came to processing the DNA. He didn't elaborate too much, but he did say, quote, we listened to our lab, and our lab tells us that there...
Go ahead.
About that blood. It's probably, they haven't said whether they found blood anywhere else because they only talked about the drops coming out of the home. So then that would mean if he broke in and he got blood on him, it would have been blood all through the house. And they haven't said that.
And then another thing too, they're not really saying everything they found in that house. They have not really even touched on anything that they found in that house. It's only they touched on what they found on that porch.
Correct. Yeah. So if it's only the porch and there was no blood anywhere else, because then they should have been able to get a large enough sample. He would have had to be, you know, cut something pretty, nick yourself pretty good. But if it's only on the porch on the outro, then 9 times out of 10 is something Nancy did to him. But if it's all through the house, then, you know, he cut himself going in.
Right.
There's challenges with it, and we understand those challenges, but our lab also knows that the technology is moving so fast and in such a frenzy that they think some of this stuff will resolve itself in just a matter of weeks, months, or maybe a year to allow them to do better with, say, a mixture of that kind of thing, end quote. Now, obviously, when you hear a year, you think of just how long the time frame could be in figuring out what happened to Nancy Guthrie. The truth is, though, with missing persons cases, many times they do take years to figure out what happened. That is not what anybody wants in the case of Nancy Guthrie. It's not what anybody would want in any missing persons investigation. Now, the sheriff said that the specific sample has yet to be submitted into investigative genetic genealogy testing or into CODIS. Now, CODIS is the FBI's national database, and there are profiles in there from people who were convicted of crimes or arrested. And just because a sample doesn't match in CODIS, it doesn't mean that it can't be useful or be matched down the line. It roughly has only 6% of the population in it. The FBI has been offering a reward of $100,000. And then on top of that, there was a private reward amount that was put in through Crime Stoppers from a personal injury attorney in Wisconsin of roughly $100,000. So as of today, it was $200,000 for information to find Nancy Guthrie. But then today's show host, Savannah, and her family say that they are now putting $1 million up in hopes it will help someone come forward with information about what happened to their mom.
Hold on.
When I was younger, I always had a basketball in my hand. What I love about basketball is the competitiveness, the teamwork. Like, I just love.
Hi there. I'm coming on to say it is day 24 since our mom was taken in the dark of night from her bed. And every hour, minute, and second, and every long night has been agony since then, of worrying about her and fearing for her, and aching for her, and most of all, just missing her, We know that millions of you have been praying. So many people have been praying of every faith and no faith at all, praying for her return. And we feel those prayers. Please keep praying without ceasing. We still believe.
Savannah posted this new video on Instagram Tuesday morning, and not only did she announce that $1 million number, but for the first time, she made a heartbreaking admission.
We still believe in a miracle. We still believe that she can come home. Hope against hope. As my sister says, we are blowing on the embers of hope. We also know that she may be lost. She may already be gone. She may have already gone home to the Lord that she loves and is dancing in heaven with her mom and her dad, and with her beloved brother, Pierce, and with our daddy. And if this is what is to be, then we will accept it.
Now, in Savannah's previous messages, she had not publicly stated the possibility that her mom may no longer be alive. When she first went missing, the Pima County Sheriff said that Nancy Guthrie was very sharp mentally, but physically she had challenges. She couldn't walk 50 yards on her own, the sheriff said. She also needed medication daily, and without it, she could die. Now, even though Savannah appears to be coming to grips with the chance that her mom has passed away, she did make this announcement about the reward money.
But we need to know where she is. We need her to come home.
That's so sad.
For that reason, we are offering a family reward of up to $1 million for any information that leads us to her recovery. All of the information about this reward and the details is in the caption below. You can call the 1-800 tip line. You can be anonymous if you want. Someone out there knows something that can bring her home. Somebody knows. And we are begging you to please come forward now.
Now, Savannah said that she hopes that someone calls that FBI tip line, 1-800-CALL-FBI, or just finds a way to reach out to her personally. It is unclear if new information came in today that prompted the family to make this big offer of reward money. Fox News is reporting the family wanted to put a large amount of reward money out early on in the investigation, but law enforcement told them to hold off because there was a concern that it would generate a lot of false leads. Now, in the 24 days since this story started and the search has gone on, the FBI and the local sheriff's office have said that they have received tens of thousands of tips. And as much as it is a strength, an important tool to have the public on your side, the local 911 manager in Pima County said their lines have been overwhelmed with so many people calling in, not necessarily with information that can help the case, but opinions, which can be frustrating. Now, it's still unclear how close the hundreds of members of law enforcement, including FBI agents, are to finding the person or people who took Nancy Guthrie. Overnight, several media outlets reported that these two images of a suspect or suspects on the front steps of Nancy Guthrie's house
this is what
were
I was
actually
talking
taken
about.
on separate nights. You notice when you look.
This is what I was talking about. They said they're trying to figure out, they think that these was two separate nights. Okay? These is not the same day. This is what I was just saying right here.
Look at these pictures, you can see that in one, the person is wearing a backpack, and in the other, they're not. Now, previously, we were told to believe that these images were from around the time that Nancy Guthrie was taken. The reports suggest that the kidnappers had been to Nancy's house before she was taken. Now, whether or not that's true, this is the response from the Pima County Sheriff. They put out a statement as this story was starting to make the rounds. The sheriff says that a report suggesting the images were from different nights is, quote, purely speculative. That's because the images don't have timestamps. Now, the sheriff has said that investigators are not ruling out the possibility that more than one person is involved in the abduction of Nancy Guthrie. The FBI has been far quieter in releasing information in this case compared to the.
Now, my thing is, if these was different nights, this is what they think, right? Nobody picked up this a night before that it was a strange man on her porch. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Who had access to her camera? Did the daughters have it? Did the sons have it? Was it connected to the kid's phone? Did Nancy stay in her phone to see this? Because this was not the same night. Because sometimes I go back to my camera and look a day before, 2 days before. So I'm trying to say, no one seen this strange man on the camera before this happened to her? That's something to think about. What do you say, sis?
That's not how I interpreted what I got from what they were saying is that they have not released to the public whether or not that's the same night. So we can infer that, we can speculate, but the police didn't say that directly, which means it could have been from the same night where he had his backpack on, and then another time he came up there and he didn't have the backpack on.
Right, and that's what I'm doing. I'm speculating, because I'm saying, like, if this was a night before her disappearance, nobody's saying this, just saying. Because
that's
we
what
don't
they're saying. I don't think so. I think she would have noticed that on her camera. But, old people don't always know how to rewind at 84. Maybe she's not really looking. But I agree with you. Somebody should have caught that there was somebody if it was the night before. But if it's the same night, he tried it, and then once he saw, he could get some motion, he went back with his gear on.
Right. Oof, this is a mystery here for real. It really
But
is.
the main problem that they have is that they're putting this out as if it's gonna get the guy, and they think these are the angles most helpful. But there could be something in the other angles that they didn't share. Because if he went up there and then left and then came back, they just might as well put the, all of the frames up.
Right. Yeah. You know what I feel too, sis? I feel like, okay, like with the doorbell camera, you can tell people at your door by the motion. And with the doorbell camera, it pops up and lets you know who out there. You can see a full picture of them, right? So I feel like being that she was 84, I feel like she should have had those cameras from a company, as though when someone breaking your house, the whole alarm just sets everything off. And it goes straight to the company, straight to the police department. I'm saying this being at her age. I think those is the type of cameras that she needed. You get it?
Yes, I agree. And I believe the whole neighborhood is probably going to do that after this. But
guess what? You're absolutely right. Because the day live that I was in, it was people on that block getting cameras installed from a company.
Yeah, they definitely will. Because you got to remember, this is a community that was really safe. And it's just recently started turning over with, bad people in the neighborhood. So they would have felt perfectly safe with no cameras and leaving their doors unlocked. So now you come into, I have to lock my doors.
Hey, Travel
because
Island.
there's prowlers around. Hey, Travel, because there are prowlers around. So their mindset is changing, but it's just slowly changing. It's not like you go to the extremes and say, hey, I need to set up a full security system to make sure that I'm safe and good. They were probably thinking it's just like little petty theft.
Because the lady did say that was a good neighborhood, years ago, and it has got a little off the hook. She didn't go into much details, but she did classify that. She did say that, and it was a neighbor today on that block getting full surveillance cameras around her home today in the live that I was in this morning. So I was just thinking, like, being that she was the age that she was, maybe she needed more surveillance, more better cameras than just the phone cameras. Even though it could have still been hooked to the phone, but it could have been hooked to the police department, the fire department, EMT, all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
I agree.
When they would have broke in the house, right, that would have set straight off at the police department, and they probably would have ran off then. See, that's why it goes back to what I said. I believe someone knew this family, knew she didn't have none of that, knew it was hooked up to a phone, her pacemaker was hooked to a phone. It's just, I don't know. And I could be wrong, sis. Maybe it's not nobody in the family, But I do believe it was someone that was close to that family that knew Nancy very well and that knew the whole family very well.
Could have, but she should have just got one of those stickers, that ADT protects here, boom, and popped it on the window. He'd have left her alone. But I agree.
She could have got one for her lawn, like in front. You're right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think that is very important, and it's just hard to think that, because I'm not gonna hold you. I didn't lock my doors for a long time, and then I had to start locking my door. So it just your mental has to change, and you have to know when it's time to call it and get security and do all of that stuff.
Okay, Barbara, I got you.
And just for Nancy, it was unfortunate that they didn't think it was necessary, because it turns out that it was.
Right, absolutely. And they probably would never think something like that would happen to their mom. You know what I mean?
Never, because I would never think that.
Yeah, I would never. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
No, they still haven't found her, Travel. So that's crazy work. I feel for the family, but I'm gonna say this, and I feel this 100%. And they probably should double back and take another look at them. I don't know how well they looked at the family, but I'd be looking at.
Well, today when I was in the live, that the guys, the people that I follow, they did have camera people at that house today, right? So we all in the chat saying, what is this about? Is they installing cameras in the house now? And someone in the family is going to move here? What is going on? Because they was today at Nancy's house. And they did say today that they are turning the house back over to the family, meaning the investigation of that house is over.
Yeah, no, I would definitely install cameras, because you don't know if the guy's going to try to come back.
Yes, next, I think Sunday going to make a month. Sunday, yeah.
And you're going to want to make sure that you have cameras there in case the guy returns. That's why I would be putting cameras on my mom's house, because you never know.
So you don't think no one will move there, but you think they will come in and out to keep the house checked on, whatever the case may be? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, if that was my mom, I don't think I could move there. And the chat was saying, the chat I was in today early this morning, they was like, no way, I couldn't live there. Some people say if that was my mom, I would wait for a while and I would sell it. Some people were saying
that family is gonna sell their house. Because it's going to hold too many memories. They're going to hold the house for a while in hopes that she will return, but knowing that she is probably deceased. But they'll hold on to it.
Yeah, Travis, they was saying that, but they did an update and said that wasn't true. They talked to Mexico authority over there. Nothing came through over there, but they are on a watch out. But nothing came through their gates there. So I did see that too, and I think I talked about that yesterday too, if I'm not sure. But yeah. So let's finish listening up what he got to say.
The local authorities, but that is typically what we see in investigations like this. Now, as the days have turned into weeks, the public has grown restless with this case not being cracked yet. Over the weekend, public search groups showed up at Nancy Guthrie's house. Here's how the sheriff responded with a statement that reads, quote, volunteer search groups have inquired about being in the area. Per the sheriff, they were asked to please give investigators the space they need to do their work. We appreciate their concern and we all want to find Nancy, but this work is best left to professionals. PCSD has volunteer opportunities if they wish to get involved with the department. Private property laws apply. It is up to each individual property owner to grant permission for anyone to be on their property, end quote. Now, as we close in on a month of searching for Nancy Guthrie with no arrest, no rescue, no recovery, there are concerns that law enforcement may start to pull resources back, which does happen in missing persons cases that go cold. But cold is not how the sheriff or anyone has characterized the search for Nancy Guthrie. And over the weekend, the sheriff also pushed back on the suggestion that resources may be pulled back. He said, quote, there have been no changes to resources in this investigation. There may be fluctuations day to day based on investigative leads. Several hundred law enforcement personnel remain dedicated to this case. This will remain an active investigation until Nancy Guthrie is found or all leads are exhausted, end quote. The search for Nancy Guthrie has become one of the most high-profile missing persons cases that we've seen in some time. Many, watching the amount of resources going into the case, have brought up the hundreds of thousands of cases that go unsolved of people who are missing in the United States. According to a government website, each year, the number of people who go missing is between 500,000 and 600,000 people. And along with that $1 million reward that the Guthrie family have put up in the search for their mom, Savannah also said this.
We also know that we are not alone in our loss. We know there are millions of families that have suffered with this kind of uncertainty. And for that reason today, we also are donating $500,000 to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for their work in helping families who are coping with loss and actively looking for those who are lost. We are hoping that the attention that has been given to our mom and our family will extend to all the families like ours who are in need and need prayers and need support. So please, if you hear this message, if you've been waiting and you haven't been sure, let this be your sign to please come forward, tell what you know, and help us bring our beloved mom home so that we can either celebrate a glorious, miraculous homecoming or celebrate the beautiful.
And it's so sad that she had to say that. You know, it's just so heartbreaking. It's so sad that she had to say that. But this is at this point, y'all, this is how she feels. She feels that her mom may be gone now, you know, because of her health issues, you know, not knowing if her mom was eating, you know, getting her medication, her pacemaker not hooked up anymore. So I know, you know, sometimes we don't want to see it for what it is, but, you know, she's just speaking how she feel now. You know, if her mom is out there, just wherever her mom is, just tell her where her mom is. Let her mom get a proper burial, you know? Don't let this lady lay out in the woods somewhere or in the desert somewhere. And, you know, I mean, this is just very sad. It's very sad.
Brave and courageous and noble life that she has lived. Please be the light in the dark.
If you have any information on where Nancy Guthrie is, contact the Pima County Sheriff's Department or the FBI. The Pima County Sheriff's Department can be reached at 520-351-4900. And you can also contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or go to tips.fbi.gov.
Wellness knows you love your pet. A lot, like daily face kisses, no.
Joining us now to talk about this case is missing persons private investigator Steve Fisher. Always great to have you here on Law and Crime. You know, this $1 million number from the Guthrie family, and you just feel the emotion in Savannah's voice once again, as we're now in week 4 of the search for Nancy Guthrie. And then there's the story that comes out that this is what the family wanted to do initially, but police were concerned, law enforcement, that you put that number out there and a ton of fake tips are going to come in and it might jeopardize the investigation. I mean, you investigate a lot of these missing persons cases where I'm sure family members are like, I would put money up to bring my loved one home. Like, when is the right time to actually do a big reward like the Guthrie family's doing?
It's tough because I'll tell you what, I've even written a blog post on my website a long time ago about how I personally don't really agree with rewards because they really muddy the waters. You'd be shocked how many scammers come out of the woodwork. And this is true. For $5,000 rewards, $10,000 rewards.
I agree with him.
The only time I really agree with it is if it's put up through like Crime Stoppers or something like that. They can kind of control the things. But what happens is you get so many scammers and every lead's got to be run down. And they don't tend to work. You know, I remember the Harmony Montgomery case. I think I got up to $300,000, and you know they were in a motel room with these homeless people, and they still didn't give them up for $300,000. So now $1 million is a big number, and I can see why the family wanted to do it. I can also see why law enforcement didn't want them to do it, because they already had $30,000 or 30 or 40,000 leads come in, mostly because of Savannah, right? Because she's brought so much attention to this. It's almost like $1 million reward. Everybody wants to be involved, but I get why she's done it. And I know she was getting a lot of heat for like, why haven't, somebody put up like a $2,500 reward, and they're like, the family's not even matching that. Well, here's the reason why. They wanted to, but they're listening to law enforcement. And I think now, getting that we're close to a month in, I think you're going to see them make some moves on their own. The family's like, listen, I think you'll see them start doing things like this, with or without law enforcement's blessing.
Right, because as much as the sheriff in this case, Chris Nanos, he's taken a lot of criticism, and there's a lot of expert law enforcement people, and I'm not one of them, in terms of having experience running investigations, who have been critical of things that he's done. But at the same time, when you hear about the tips that have come in and just how many there are, like, you kind of understand the strategy of like, hold off on putting this big number out there, but it happened anyway. I know the 911 dispatcher, like the head of the dispatchers in Pima County, was saying like the amount of people just calling in with opinions on how they should run the investigation. It's like clogging up the line. So like, I get it. But here we are, like 24 days in. Part of this video, Savannah Guthrie, like really for the first time, is kind of admitting, what may be true, which is that her mom is likely no longer alive. Potentially no longer alive, I'll say, but just obviously at 84 years old, and you worry about the care that she's in, as we all hope that a good thing, can still come of this, and that she can be brought home safely. And we don't know until we know. At the same time, like, we're at day 24, and you hear about the DNA reports coming in, that it doesn't seem like that might have a lot of teeth to it. I mean, where do investigators go next at this point? Because I know that they say they still have leads, but you just have to wonder, when is something going to break in this case?
It just seems like it's all bad news right now. Everything seems to be going against investigators. But I've been saying, each time I've been on your show, I've been saying, I hope they release more surveillance. And I know they've kind of alluded to, we didn't have it from other cameras, and maybe this is all they have. But now we found out that they actually have a piece of surveillance that could be weeks earlier. This other image. So it seems like they were able to peel back more of that, that, or were able to recover more of that footage. And then we think, and if they have more footage, I just think that's the key, right? Now, that coupled with one thing, the $1 million reward is going to do is going to bring out a ton of people, psychics and all that. But it's also going to, if you're that kidnapper and you've got a close circle of people that know what's going on, maybe a family member or something like that, you're going to get really paranoid that your own people are turning on you. And that could create some really strange infighting, and people start making weird moves. And, so it could actually, that number being so big could create kind of a weird dynamic where they start cannibalizing each other. And, and then it just kind of comes to the surface from that. But, where to go next, they just got to keep, listen, I think there should be more searches out there. I don't understand why the sheriff was opposed to these volunteer-based searches. He was saying they had to get a search permit. There's no such thing as a search and rescue permit, by the way. If you're on public land, you can search, as long as you don't trespass and stuff. People shouldn't be out there unless, they can do it health-wise and stuff like that. They don't want to create more problems for first responders. But there needs to be eyeballs out there, because if we're 24 days in, if they don't have her, then they obviously dumped her somewhere. And that's probably.
And that's what I was thinking too. Did they dump her somewhere if they don't have her? Because I was thinking they don't have her anymore. That's what I was thinking. I could be wrong. I was just thinking the same thing he just said. Did they dump her somewhere and just left her? And we know, in Arizona, you got so many desert places out there, with the high mountains and all of that, So I was thinking the same thing that he was thinking. And I was thinking the same thing he was thinking about that money. You know, I don't think I would put so much high money out there because you'll get all kind of people calling you and lying. And, you know, how would you give them the money? You know, how would they do that? You know?
Yeah, but I was thinking, I don't think this man is motivated by money. So if he's not motivated by money, it don't matter how much you put out. And I know in some people's mind, they're like, how can somebody not be motivated by money? But he was in a woman's house and he has the woman. All he needs is her cell phone. He could be all up in her bank accounts if money wasn't the motive.
Yeah, now I'm quite sure the daughter had access to that account. I'm quite sure of that. So she probably done stopped all of that already. The detectives probably done already see was anything withdrawn from her banking account. You know, when was the last time she used her cards or whatever the case may be. They probably done did all of that already. So all of that probably was already been on pause. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes, but he had enough time to. He had enough time to do whatever he was going to do, even if he wanted it in Bitcoin. He had enough time to do it. He was in her house for 40 minutes, and he had, what, a 6-hour head start? Before people really...
Yeah, before they found out that she was gone. Yes, before they found out she was... But now, let's go back. I don't know if I told you this, Ms. Smith. Another live that I was in, they said that her pocketbook was left in the house.
Yeah, he didn't take her wallet. He didn't take her cell phone. He's not motivated by money. I don't know who those people are calling in and telling TMZ that they have her, but I don't think it's the guy.
Me neither. It's something fishy about all of this. It is like, I just can't put my hand on it, but listen, like I said, and I could be wrong again, I just feel like it's somebody close to that family, or maybe somebody just been not close to the family and just been watching the house, watching Nancy, knows that Nancy live alone by herself, just, you know, just peeking the spot out, watching her coming in and out. I mean, I'm just speculating because I don't know. I don't know. It's just all up in the air right now. I really don't know. And I'm just we're all trying to piece it together. You know? You don't know.
That's probably going to be in an open space somewhere or water, and they need eyeballs out there. And I'm surprised that we haven't seen more of Pima County search and rescue and them bringing in other counties on a mutual aid basis to help with assist, and haven't seen more air operations going on. Maybe they do know something, and you know, they're strangely slow to uncover it, but it seems like there should be more of a search effort going on.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sweetie.
Doing your taxes yourself does not mean doing them alone. At least not when you file with H&R Block. Use AI Tax Assist for quick answers 20.
Yeah, it's very interesting because they and to an extent, I mean, with the amount of attention that this case is getting, and I know that there's this like rivalry between like mainstream media and like streamers on the street there, you know, and I'm sure for investigators, they're still trying to control some of these scenes, even though we've seen like pool cleaners show up. I think a landscaping crew was there. So you have to wonder like how much of a crime scene is it at this point? What evidence hasn't been taken away? Like they also were very much like, we're not interested in these volunteer groups that are coming in. One thing on the ransom, because I noticed in Savannah's post, she said you could call that 1-800-CALL-FBI number or just find a way to get in touch with me. How have you seen in some, because I'm sure like if you're someone who actually has information on this and you look at that $1 million figure and you think to yourself, like calling the FBI might not be the best option if you're trying to not get arrested and be held to the highest letter of the law. And, you know, does DMing Savannah Guthrie or finding a way to get in touch with her, like, do you see those kind of more personal approaches when it comes to, it's not even Crime Stoppers, it's just get in touch with Savannah, that could be something that could help in this case?
Yeah, 100%. And this is a piece where, and I'm not saying this for my own benefit, I'm not putting myself up for the job, but this is where Savannah would probably be smart to bring in some private investigators, because there's people that just are not willing to talk with law enforcement or FBI, you know, they're all law enforcement, obviously, but because they're in that they know what's going on because they're kind of in that criminal element, but they will talk to private investigators. And I think it'd be, if for no other reason, if she had some private investigators that can take those calls. I think those people will talk to them because they know they're not law enforcement, no power of arrest, and instead of her maybe dealing directly. But if she wants to do it the way, that's fine. I think if somebody does come forward, I think it's going to be through a channel that's not law enforcement. It's going to come direct to her, or somebody is going to pass the information along on behalf of that person to law enforcement as an intermediary. And I think there's a chance somebody knows. I mean, besides the guy that we see in the video, there's other people that know. I mean, there's got to be 2, 3, 4 other people that do have it. There's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. And you wonder, again, like you really start turning the heat up, because even like the people who sent in, whether or not those ransom notes were ever true, like, I know they wanted 6 million, that first initial, ransom note, but like we're talking about $1 million. It's not like the guy who's just looking for Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin for 60.
Well, what about him? Wanted 1 Bitcoin. Why doesn't he come get the million?
And that's why with that one, it felt like a little bit with that one, it was like, this one doesn't seem, I mean,
he kind of got called out here. Like he's looking, not knocking TMZ, but they hyped that pretty hard. And now that, that's not, I think we're, listen, the money talks right now, and that's a huge amount of money. So it's kind of like now the playing field's set. And I think if somebody's going to come forward, though, I think it's going to be in the next 24 hours. Otherwise, I don't think they will, and who knows if they're, I don't think that there's a Mexico element to this as far as like cartel goes. It very well could be somebody that lives in Mexico, not involved in a cartel, is doing a side thing. But with what's happening in Mexico right now too, it's just really, horrible timing. If by chance she happens to be over the border, because so many resources are diverted to deal with, what's going on and trying to get people out of the country.
Right. And that was the part, I think, from the beginning that's been interesting, where it's so easy to just cross there. But then at the same time, there are 1 million cameras. You can get across really easy, but they're going to have a ton of pictures of you, like as you go across. The timestamp story that came out last night, I thought was really interesting, because every media outlet seemed to be reporting the same thing, like within the span of an hour. It was like Fox News, ABC News, News Nation, and it was these pictures. One is a person in the backpack, which we've all seen. And then there's the other picture where it doesn't appear that they're wearing a backpack, that these were shot on separate days. And it's like this kind of the first big, like, oh my gosh, moment we've had in this case for the last few days. But then the sheriff comes out and he kind of pushes back and he says, there's no timestamps to these pictures and everything's purely speculative because we don't know. It was like this idea of like, well, we don't really know when the pictures were taken. But then it's like, it's one of those things. It's like the information was coming from somewhere for every major media outlet to get that. But then for the sheriff to push back, I just thought it makes you wonder exactly what we know about these pictures and how many other pictures there may be.
And listen, the sheriff's department might not know how many other pictures there are, because I think that FBI and the sheriff's department are working this case. I don't think they're working it together that closely anymore. The FBI could have a lot more information that the sheriff doesn't even know about. And that's not untypical. One thing that I always hear in these cases is from local law enforcement is sometimes they don't want to bring the FBI in because they say, the FBI wants all of our information, but they don't share any of their information with us. And I'm not talking about, Pima. I'm talking about every case that I've worked on. It's pretty much been the case. But I think because of some of these things that have happened along the way here, I think that there are 2 parallel investigations going on. Yes, they're going to appear as a united front, but I think that I don't think there's a lot of information sharing going on. And I think they're running, doing things separately. And I think that leak, if you want to call it that, or that information, whatever it is, probably came from the FBI.
Yeah. And we've seen, at least, they're the only ones who know like actually how this investigation's going. But it's like even that Reuters story from a couple of weeks ago about the DNA lab. And it just seemed like there was a little bit of a rivalry, at least brewing between, those sides, as this has been going on. The sheriff has used the term, it could be days, could be months, could be years. And in some of these, I mean, for you, like, I mean, these cases, I mean, as much as we all were thinking, like in the first couple of days, like I couldn't look away from my phone because it's like, this is going to be the moment that, this case cracks, but now it's just kind of blended into day after day. And now day 24, like in these cases, I mean, how often is this we're talking months, if not years, in terms of finding Nancy Guthrie, or at least figuring out what happened?
For cats, this is the
I hope
epitome
it don't
of
be no
fun.
years. Like, I'm being honest.
Gnarly
I hope not.
moves. Because
exactly, AB.
Well,
why take an old lady?
Yes, exactly. This case makes me cry. To take an old lady. Absolutely. Hey, Barbara. Yeah. I mean, what can she do? What can she do? She can't do anything. She can't harm no one. Nothing. Like, it's just so sad. And I hope when they find this person that did this, they get everything that comes to them. No slack in that courtroom. None at all. And not only just give them life, they need to get the chair, if you know what I mean. Okay? They don't deserve to be here neither. For real, because this is sad.
I mean, that can be the case in any case. The thing is that because the sheriff is frustrated and he's getting beat up in the media and stuff, it's not really a reason to go out and make statements like that. That's just gutting the family. The family knows that's probably the reality of the situation. It could be tomorrow. It could be a year. With a missing person, it's just impossible to tell. But the sheriff it almost sounds like defeat. And I don't think that's healthy, for the situation right now. And I think what he's got to do is, I realize he's taking a lot of shots, and I think some of them aren't really warranted. I think it's listen, there's no higher profile case in, recent history. Right. And you get thrown into it, and he's got a young force. I get that, everybody's got, but listen, you can say stuff about the FBI too, right? It's not the time to play that out, so he needs to try and, I feel like he shut down these press conferences because he's like, well, if you guys are just going to pick on me, I'm not going to have the press conferences. Well, you still got to have them anyway, because the family needs that. And I know the family knows, is doing more behind the scenes, but, I think it's important for the family that the community is engaged. Like when they have reps going online saying, oh, we want all these streamers out of here and stuff. I know Savannah can bring a massive media presence, but they're already started. Mainstream media is already starting to leave because there's other stories and stuff. I guarantee they want those eyeballs still on the case, and so I don't know if that was her wish to run those people out of there.
Yeah, y'all, because they ran the media away from Nancy's house to this morning, y'all. Okay, no cars can park out there anymore. They don't put 2 trespassing signs out there no more. They talking down on the YouTubers that's out there, which I think is not right. The regular news people didn't want the YouTubers out there. I think they had to take down some tents and everything today. So that's the latest on Nancy's house. So I think that was kind of wrong because a YouTuber, they got a right to come out and blog on stories also, so they was just talking down the YouTubers and everything that was out there, which they put in a lot of work. Those YouTubers, a lot of them was out there. They flew in. They don't live there in Arizona. I think like 2 or 3 flew there and been there ever since this case started. So for the talk down on the YouTubers for coming out there to bring awareness to Nancy's case, I just feel like that was just nasty and ugly, in my opinion.
Or try to run those people out of there. So, right. I don't know. I think I think that they should start doing press conferences, even if they're short, just very short. There wasn't much today. There's this because what happens is they say there's not a planned one, and then all of a sudden about 4 or 5 o'clock, a bunch of important information comes out.
Right.
We got the DNA is not viable. We got all these other things. We got the stuff about the surveillance. They're not press conferences, but major news is dropping every day. So.
Well, I think too, like just an example of Savannah puts out this message today, and it did feel like there's a little bit more life in the story today and the coverage that it's getting compared to the last couple of days. And that was just with a 4-minute Instagram video and clearly a large amount of money that she's putting out there. With this too, again, this is still incredibly high.
At Fanatics Sportsbook, every bet feels rewarding. Use Fan Cash to boost, bet, and collect across the entire Fanatics.
High profile. This case is the case right now that everybody's talking about across the country. And you see that in the attention that it's getting. But at the same time, like these missing persons cases, and I'm sure you've seen it, where like at some point, like for Pima County and their budget, and even the FBI, and if they have dozens of agents down there, like what is the timeline on the resources? And I know there was a report that they're
honey, back, see you have a good day, baby.
That once again, and still the attention's hot, but like, what is the timeline typically in cases like this for law enforcement to continue to have their foot on the gas day in and day out?
In my experience, we've kind of passed that point. They are pulling back, whether they want to say it or not. The feds are pulling resources out. They'll draw it down as slowly as possible, but other things are happening. FBI is a federal bureau, so things are happening, and Pima County will dedicate what they can, but and there's probably a lot of leads still left to run down. But when they look at them, they probably are like, we know that these really aren't solid leads. They got to run them down. But so they're gonna pull back resources, and I think the family, since they're one of the 1% of families this happens to that has the ability to do so, I think they're gonna have to bring in private resources. And I'm not saying it's private investigators. So I think they're gonna need to get private search, private investigators, private canine teams. They're gonna have to supplement that, because we don't have besides the house, we don't even have a direction of travel from the house that she went. It's gonna be a massive effort, and maybe that's going on behind the scenes.
This is her back.
I think that's where it goes. But yeah, they're gonna draw down. They're gonna draw down assets, and they already are, and it'll go. Then they'll start talking about, well, we're working on an investigative basis. In other words, when leads come up, when new stuff comes up, when returns on DNA or search warrants or whatever. I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been any more search warrants served that we know about.
Yeah, no, and that was the thing. Like we had that span, and especially with the house that was served with the federal warrant, and then they had the traffic stop by the Culvers, and then the sheriff's like, expect more of this activity to happen, and we haven't had someone detained.
That's true too, sis. Right now, we got to think about everything. It could be church members, anybody. I agree with you. At this point, shit, I wouldn't count nobody out at this point, because we really don't know. So I definitely agree with you on that too.
Ain't sense.
And I'm kind of surprised that we haven't heard from those people like we did Carlos. So it does make me wonder. If maybe that's not such a closed lead yet, and maybe there's something to it. But I just hope it's just slow going every day. I just can't imagine with the Guthrie. I see it every day with my clients, but it's I just recognize that look. I'll never know what that feels like, because I've never had it happen to me, but I'm around it every day, and it's just the emptiness in people's faces when they have a missing loved one. And I want to commend them too for throwing 500. They know that they're taking all the oxygen out of the room as far as press goes for all the other missing cases, and I think it was a really classy move of them to donate $500,000 to NCMEC, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, because they know what's happening. They know that all the attention's on them, and that's going to help other kids be found. And I think that was a very classy move.
Yeah, it was, and we have seen,
that was nice
in this case also, because there's it's the national story, Nancy Guthrie, but also the amount of people who are saying like, hey, like there are loved ones who go missing under very, very sad circumstances as well that will never get a fraction of the attention that this case is. Not that one is worth more than the other. And so that 500,000, hopefully it, very classy move by the Guthrie family now on day 24 of this search. And you just hope, we'll get that alert at some point that there's some good news coming their way, coming everyone's way. Missing persons private investigator Steve Fisher, always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, that was the end of that one. So y'all guess as good as mine, but at this point, yes, everything is like I won't count nobody out. Yeah, I won't count. Well, I do know that she's supposed to have went to church on that next day, and she did not show up. She did not show up. She's supposed to have went to church. So it's a lot with that one too, child. I don't know. Whew. Let me see. I think I got one more I'm gonna play. I'm gonna see what this one about. I don't know. Let's see. It's all seems strange to me, y'all. I ain't even gonna lie. All right, let me see.
The evidence will prove that Corey Richins murdered.
Not this one. But you know what, y'all? I'm trying to like Miss Smith said, that is so true, because he did have plenty of time, because it was night before they even knew their mother was missing the next day. You know what I'm saying? Because he took her out of her bed. That was after 1 o'clock in the morning, something 2 in the morning. So he had hours. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, it's crazy. Let me see. So it is
with thermal capabilities as well as specific canine capabilities. And when I say specific, we have sense.
Hold on, y'all. Let me bring this to the
specific
beginning.
As well as HRD canines, both land and in the search and rescue, search and recovery field.
Why did you emphasize?
All right, hold on. So, I mean, it is kind of strange to me. I mean, dang. Like, nobody knows nothing. And I wouldn't be surprised if this person sitting back, y'all, watching everything the news people saying, all of that. I wouldn't be surprised. They keeping up with it. What you think, Miss Smith?
I think they definitely keeping up with it.
Yeah, I believe that also. Yeah, I definitely do believe they're keeping up with it. Because when people do mean things and stuff like that, they keep up with the news. They sit back and keep up with the news, and they watch it and see what they're saying. Yes, you
But
right.
did you clock what the daughter said? She definitely believes that her mom is gone. Point blank.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard it. Absolutely. Yes. That's
she used recovery instead of rescue her mom.
Right. And y'all, she probably don't want to feel like that, but she want to just come to reality. You know what I'm saying? She know her mother is an elderly lady. She know her mom have health issues. She know her mom takes daily medication. She know her mom's probably have not had her medication. She know her mom's heart maker was disconnected an hour later. She know her mom can't survive like that. She know her mom probably not eating. So she coming to grips now that she know that her mom is no longer with us. She don't want to feel that way. Of course, nobody don't want to feel that way about their loved one. It's not getting taken seriously at all to me. It seems like it's for show. they do more than this when they find pieces. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it was a gap there, just like another guy was saying too. It was a gap there too, like when they took her in the middle of the night until they realized she was gone the next day. How long was that gap? I don't know how long was that gap. You know, when the daughter discovered,
right? Because it was like she was supposed to be at church. They called around looking for her. 12 o'clock came, no answer. They had a neighbor go by, no answer.
Right,
I think a few hours after that, they called it in.
Right. Because she supposed to have went to church at 12 that afternoon, right?
I can't remember the time for church. But yeah, somewhere around that.
Yeah. And that's when the church said she never showed up that day. And they said she always shows up for church services. And
yeah,
she did
the
not
friend was
show up.
alarmed. That's some friend to say, hey, where is she? But I think when you older, people know their friends die. So if somebody don't do their usual routine, they call them right away.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, that was good that she's supposed to have been in church that day, because let's say if she didn't supposed to have been in church that day, ain't no telling how long that this would have played out, that they didn't know their mother was missing. You know what I'm saying? So things happen for a reason.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was a virtual service.
Yes. Yes, it was virtual. And she didn't show up to the virtual service. So I think that was good that she had supposed to have service, church service, and they got on it right away. They sent somebody to the house. She wasn't answering the bell. Now, when the person got to the house, I wonder did the person notice something was off when they seen the blood, the doorbell camera wasn't there. What did that person see that was off? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm quite sure they did talk to the police and told the police what they seen was out of character. They probably told the daughter. They probably did all that.
9 times out of 10, if that doorbell camera was missing, because they said it was a Ring doorbell, that has the buzzer on it, so they had to knock instead of ring.
Right. And they really couldn't knock neither, because remember her door, her screen door was metal. It was, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that door was unlocked that they can knock on the other door, or was that metal door to the metal screen door was locked and they bring her out the back when they took her. That's something we don't know neither. So I don't know. That this is I mean, it's a lot to think about. It really is. It's just a lot to think about. We have so much technology and rescues when it comes to high profile cases. They can find Miss Nancy if they want to. Yeah, I agree. But then again, like I said, did they dump her somewhere? Let's think about, we're talking about the town she live in. Like, look at the mountains. It's so many places you can dump a body there. So many places that it would take a while to find.
Yep, and it drives like a raisin in the sun.
Yes. We're talking about Arizona.
You're talking about small counties. So when they first started the investigation, they didn't have all of those resources. They didn't get them until the FBI really came in. And most of the time, the police and the FBI do not like working together.
And they don't. And that's why I took the FBI so long to come in on this case. And maybe it was some evidence that, tampered with and all of that, I mean, because could they get shoe prints from the house of them walking into the house, from the front, from
probably
the back?
Not, because the police probably trampled over all of it.
Right.
The local police are moving, not the
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's a lot to think about. It is. And then again, we talking about Arizona. I mean, baby, they got some deserts out there, honey. You can store somebody anywhere out there, probably, baby. It take a while to find them. I mean, look at the mountains out there. Look at them deserts they got out there. The land, the whole the high branches, the trees, and all that. I mean, oh Lord, baby. I wouldn't want to live out there. I ain't even gonna lie to you. If I do, I would have to go to the city or something. Cause, child, I don't know. That shit done scared me to death. I ain't lying. Oof, baby. All right, we're gonna play a little bit of this video before I get out of here.
$1 million, $20 million. They see they can get one, they'll go for another. Money talks in this type of situation. The larger the amount, they're going to get more people sending tips, as we've seen today. But the important thing is they know how the program from their past experience. And I believe that, the amount of the $2,500, I think it was, they put in for the first time.
Yep.
And then they started to raise it because the tips weren't coming in enough.
Right. It went 50. Then Harvey Levin was getting other things. It went up to 75. They upped
now it's $1,200,000.
So I get, people talk about this. They say, can anybody believe that in a case this high profile with what they have, that they still don't know where she is? Do you think that this case breaks, or is this a cold case?
It's never a cold case. They're always going to have someone working on this. It's an extremely high profile case.
Yes.
And it's a worldwide case. It's not just that area. It's people from all over, investigative agencies, from the CIA to the FBI to Israel, in fact, is involved helping with this particular case. It's all over the world, and they will not give up on this. I'm more than sure that they'll come up somewhere along the line. And in relationship, you go with the premise that she is still alive.
Yes, and we all hope that, as Savannah said, they will accept it if she isn't, but they are still hopeful that she is and praying that she is. All right, Wally, thank you very much. Tonight, a new search, a new reward, and a new round of tips in the abduction case of Nancy Guthrie. Today, our team witnessed the most activity we've seen in a week at Nancy Guthrie's home in Tucson. Several people in suits appeared to search it for hours. We saw them outside, and they also went inside.
This was yesterday, y'all.
Almost 24 hours after Nancy's daughter and Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie offered a $1 million reward to find her mother. The FBI says that offer led to hundreds of new and credible tips. But 25 days after Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped, police still don't know where she is, nor do they know who took her. Talk more about these new developments with CNN law enforcement contributor and retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent Steve Moore. Steve, it's good to see you. I mean, we don't know what agency or department these people were from, but presumably they're tied to the investigation in some way. Why would they return to Nancy's home at this stage, do you think?
I don't know why somebody in suits would be there. Usually it could be that.
Do y'all see this? Y'all see the back entrance? You see the back entrance to Nancy's house? Now they look like sliding doors, right, Miss Smith?
Yeah, it looks like sliding doors.
Yes. So I was wondering, did they get into them sliding doors, being that the metal screen door in the front was locked? And they picked this sliding door and got in through her sliding door. And if they did, was it cameras back here? Or was it just cameras in front of the house? Because I don't believe there was cameras in this area here. I don't believe that. And this is just my speculation. I don't believe it. But she had a beautiful home.
That they are bringing assistant United States attorneys out to familiarize them with the evidence that they found, that the evidence that's obvious and visible, so that going forward in prosecution, they have seen the property before it's released to the public, essentially, or to whoever takes custody of it. But it seems to me, because of the way they're dressed, what they were doing, if you were doing a search, you'd still be out in those cargo pants and the polos, or that they wear. For them to be there in suits, to me, says that it was more.
Says we get involved when there's a suspect with an eye towards a trial, but perhaps they are trying to preserve before they hand over the property back to the family again.
Exactly.
I mean, the FBI says it has received more than 750 credible tips after Savannah and her family offered $1 million to find their mom, and $500,000 also in support of other missing persons as well, which I think was really important. A source told CNN that the family wanted to offer it sooner, but that law enforcement worried that it would inundate the tip line. Should they have allowed them to offer something like that sooner?
I think that if you offer that too soon, like in the first week or so, what you would get is a massive amount all at once. It would be a log jam, and you wouldn't be able to process them. So any good leads that you got would be buried in 100,000 or 10,000 leads. And what they want to do is go through in a progression. When it gets to a certain point, you say, we have nothing to lose at this point. We will get inundated, but we've got to do whatever we can.
In her most recent video, she acknowledges that her mother may no longer be with us, but she holds out extraordinary hope. Has this case gone cold?
No, it is not gone cold, Laura, but it's certainly not hot right now. They have nothing obvious for them to do at this point.
That's true.
And I just want to point out that Savannah Guthrie, in the way she's held herself, the way she's cooperated with law enforcement, the way she has accepted their recommendations. These are things you don't see in the FBI very much. And it shows her strength and it shows her courage in this. And she has made the investigation so much more efficient and so much more worthwhile.
A loving daughter. Steve Moore, thank you.
Thank you.
The Guthrie family is not giving up hope, and neither are the volunteers who are searching for Nancy Guthrie. My next guest usually searches disaster zones for the missing, but now he's joining in the search for Nancy. With me now, Josh Gill, Incident Commander for the United Cajun Navy. Josh, thank you for coming on tonight. I understand you've already conducted some searches with other volunteer groups. Can you tell us what you found so far, if anything?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, he was on that search group at Nancy's house that day when I watched that live, because he the one started it. He the one started the search group. I remember him.
We went out to a location that had some freshly disturbed earth. Went there, didn't find anything of significance. Did find some items that we did report into the local sheriff's office. I'd rather not discuss what we found, but we did. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you how they received that information. Did they take it into account? Are they currently evaluating it?
So we sent a picture with latitude and longitude to the sheriff's office. They did receive it. What they did with that information, I'm not privy to.
Josh, why did you decide to join in this search now?
So we've been watching it, of course, as a lot of people have been, and really tugs at our heartstrings. We had just left Oklahoma from the fires, had the opportunity to come here and meet face to face. That was the plan, meet face to face with law enforcement to see how we could integrate into their operation and provide some additional resources.
Can you describe what those resources are like? I know you've searched for people in massive disasters in the past, the floods in Texas, just one example. What are those techniques or technology that you're using to try to find Nancy?
Sure. So we've got available, again, keyword being available to local law enforcement, drones with thermal capabilities, as well as specific canine capabilities. And when I say specific, we have scent specific as well as HRD canines, both land and water canines. It's part of our team. We've also got subject matter experts in the search and rescue, search and recovery field.
Why did you emphasize, available? Meaning you don't actually operate those drones? You just provide them? What do you mean?
So our team does operate those. We've got a network of resources. When I say available, again, we fall under the command and control of the local law enforcement. We don't self-deploy into any disasters. What we want to do is make sure that we are invited in by law enforcement. And we have given an operational plan to local law enforcement, to the Pima County Sheriff's Department.
Do you have the sense that they are happy that you're helping, that you are getting deployed according to them? Are you on the sidelines? What's been your experience?
So right now we are standing back waiting to communicate further with them on the operational plan that we've provided. Again, it's a plan, and what we want to do is make sure that if accepted, we can operationalize that plan quickly.
Can you share the details of that plan?
Certainly, I can give you a little bit of it as far as team resources that are available. As I discussed, boots on the ground, additional people looking, searching, as well as drones with thermal capabilities, and then the canines that we have available.
Josh Gill, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Remember, the tip line to call for information that helps investigators find Nancy Guthrie is 1-800-CALL-FBI. You can also go to the website, tips.fbi.gov.
Breaking news, a sudden burst of new activity at Nancy Guthrie's home today. Multiple people in suits were seen both inside and outside the home, and they were there for hours. Now, it is not yet clear who they were or why they were there now, more than 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks since she disappeared. But several large vehicles, including the SUVs and a truck, also could be seen. Now, this is the most significant activity that our reporters have seen at the home in about a week, and it comes a day after Savannah Guthrie offered $1 million for the return of her mother. Now, it is an offer that the FBI says has led to at least 750 credible tips so far. Ed Lavendera is out front in Tucson. He's been reporting on this. And Ed, you've seen this activity at the house, and you've also, you're the one who said, well, look, I haven't seen anything like this in almost a week. So what do you know about the activity? Who was there? Why? What was happening?
Right. Well, over the last several of these visits, investigators have described it to us as routine work. So it could very well be that's happened in the past. But I think it's been about a little more than a week since we've seen any kind of federal investigators out here at the scene. Last week, they were at a neighbor's property looking at a camera on the corner of a property, and then back at the house. But there's a significant amount of time that they were seen here at the home. They were walking around the sides of it, going through the backyard. Once again, that was very common in the early weeks of this investigation. So whether or not this is routine work that is being done, it could very well be that, or it could just, could be perhaps something that is based off of what we know to be true is that after the Guthrie family announced this $1 million reward, perhaps something came in. FBI officials would not confirm how many more credible tips they've received today. So the last number we have from them is about 750. Presumably that number has gone up. Overall, FBI investigators say they've received 23,000 tips in all since this investigation started almost a month ago. So significant work that's still being done. But the bottom line is still no word on where Nancy Guthrie is.
Which is just stunning. All right. Thank you very much, Ed, who has been in Tucson from the start, and retired NYPD homicide detective Wally Zines is back with me. And Wally, as I said, 25 days since she went missing. And now Ed reporting on this, sudden activity that he hasn't seen anything like it in a week. And you've got all these people in suits. What do you think's happening?
Well, first of all, when you look at that picture, you see the woman and the two other gentlemen that are with her. First of all, FBI agents that are working this case or law enforcement do not wear high heels. That's the first thing. If you notice, she's wearing high heels. Makes me think that she is the U.S. attorney or someone who might be prosecuting this case in the future. And they might have some information from a tip where that person has to go back to that crime scene and see certain areas of that particular area in case they do have something. And remember, the law enforcement community there is keeping a lot of information to their vest.
So that's very interesting. But if you're right, and her attire matters, right? Her wearing high heels, if that indicates that, at what level of seriousness or how far along do you think it would be where you'd have someone who is possibly a prosecutor in a role like that actually boots on the high heels on the ground? Well,
keep in mind, the most important word in this whole investigation is called probable cause. They might be onto something of a person of interest or persons of interest that they're looking into that may or may not come out to something positive or negative, but they still want to have their guns loaded. They want to have a tactical plan that's ready in the event that they have to go forward and have immediate press release.
So when Savannah Guthrie put out the $1 million offer, we know obviously it's led to a lot of tips, but we know originally they told her, don't do that. The sheriff had said, don't do that. They thought it would lead to too many tips and non-credible ones, right? Was the argument that was made at the beginning. So the family waited. Was that the right thing to do?
Well, keep in mind, the FBI, their unit within kidnappings, they have a profile that comes into this program immediately. They look at the possibilities of the different potential suspects that might be, and they know how to program this because they're not going to come and say, all right, we're going to offer the $1 million right away, because that person, whoever it might be, may want $10 million, $20 million. They see they can get one, they'll go for another. Money talks in this type of situation. The larger the amount, they're going to get more people sending tips, as we've seen today. But the important thing is they know how the program from their past experience. And I believe that, the amount of the $2,500, I think it was, they put in for the first time.
Yep.
And then they started to raise it because the tips weren't coming in enough.
Right. It went 50. Then Harvey Levin was getting other things. It went up to 75. They upped
now it's $1,200,000.
So,
that's a lot of money.
I get, people talk about this. They say, can anybody believe that in a case this high profile with what they have, that they still don't know where she is? Do you think that this case breaks, or is this a cold case?
It's never a cold case. They're always going to have someone working on this. It's an extremely high profile case.
Yes.
And it's a worldwide case. It's not just that area. It's people from all over, investigative agencies, from the CIA to the FBI to Israel, in fact, is involved helping with this particular case. It's all over the world, and they will not give up on this. I'm more than sure that they'll come up somewhere along the line. And in relationship, you go with the premise that she is still alive.
Yes, and we all hope that, as Savannah said, they will accept it if she isn't, but they are still hopeful that she is.
Yeah.
New search, a new reward, and a new round of tips in the abduction case of Nancy Guthrie. Today, our team witnessed the most activity we've seen in a week at Nancy Guthrie's home in Tucson. Several people in suits appeared to search it for hours. We saw them outside, and they also went inside. It comes 24 hours after Nancy's daughter and Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie offered a $1 million reward to find her mother. The FBI says that offer led to hundreds of new and credible tips. But 25 days after Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped, police still don't know where she is, nor do they know who took her. Let's talk more about these new developments with CNN law enforcement contributor and retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent Steve Moore. Steve, it's good to see you. I mean, we don't know what agency or department these people were from, but somebody they're tied to the investigation in some way. Why would they return to Nancy's home at this stage, do you think?
I don't know why somebody in suits would be there. Usually, it could be that they are bringing assistant United States attorneys out to familiarize them with the evidence that they found, that the evidence that's obvious and visible, so that going forward in prosecution, they have seen the property before it's released to the public, essentially, or to whoever takes custody of it. But it seems to me, because of the way they're dressed, what they were doing, and if you were doing a search, you'd still be out in those cargo pants and the polos that they wear. For them to be there in suits, to me, says that it was more of an evidentiary or a meeting type.
Normally, the AUSAs would get involved when there's a suspect with an eye towards a trial, but perhaps they are trying to preserve before they hand over the property back to the family again.
Exactly.
I mean, the FBI says it has received more than 750 credible tips after Savannah and her family offered $1 million to find their mom, and $500,000 also in support of other missing persons as well, which I think was really important. A source told CNN that the family wanted to offer it sooner, but that law enforcement worried that it would inundate the tip line. Should they have allowed them to offer something like that sooner?
I think that if you offer that too soon, like in the first week or so, what you would get is a massive amount all at once. It would be a log jam, and you wouldn't be able to process them. So any good leads that you got would be buried in 100,000 or 10,000 leads. And what they want to do is go through in a progression. When it gets to a certain point, you say, we have nothing to lose at this point. We will get inundated, but we've got to do whatever we can.
In her most recent video, she acknowledges that her mother may no longer be with us, but she holds out extraordinary hope. Has this case gone cold?
No, it is not gone cold, Laura, but it's certainly not hot right now. They have nothing obvious for them to do at this point. And I just want to point out that Savannah Guthrie, in the way she's held herself, the way she's cooperated with law enforcement, the way she has accepted their recommendations. These are things you don't see in the FBI very much. And it shows her strength and it shows her courage in this. And she has made the investigation so much more efficient and so much more worthwhile.
A loving daughter. Steve Moore, thank you.
Thank you.
The Guthrie family is not giving up hope, and neither are the volunteers.
Yeah, and I'm glad they're not giving up hope. You know, I'm so glad this family is not giving up hope. That's the best thing to do is keep hoping out for her mom. She have every right to do that, but she also getting prepared if they find her mom, or if they don't find her mom by a certain time. She's getting prepared for all of that. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not what she want to do, but I mean, it's been almost a month now. Sunday would definitely make a month. So I'm going to keep this family lifted, keep this family in my prayers, and I hope things work out for them. Even if they don't find her mom alive, just find her mom. Let her have a proper burial for her mom, and still work on whoever did this to her mom. Make sure they bring them to justice for everything that they did to her mom, because her family deserves every bit of it. So what do you got to say, Ms. Smith, before I end on my weekend?
Well, that situation is so sad, but I hope you enjoy your weekend. Cook you up something nice, kick your feet up, and
yes. Yes. Anybody want to send a coffee, you can hit the link on the top where it is pinned, because I'm going to get up out of here. Thank everybody for timing in, and I will definitely see y'all on Monday. And y'all, Monday, we're going to have an open conversation on toxic relationships, men/women. We're going to have that topic on Monday. So
all right,
I
can't
think,
wait to see you on Monday.
okay, sis, I'll talk to you over the weekend.
Okay, we'll talk to you over the weekend. Bye.
Okay. I thank everybody for timing in, and y'all keep this family lifted in your prayers. And I love you guys, and I will see you guys on Monday. Y'all stay blessed, stay prayed up, and always remember to keep God first. I will see you guys on Monday. Peace and love.